The dark web, a shadowy place of secrets and danger. I never thought I'd go there, but one email changed everything. It promised $10,000 for a single night's work. Desperate and curious, I accepted. What followed wasn't just a challenge, it was a nightmare I might never escape. Here's how it all began. The job offer. It started with an email, plain text, no sender, no subject. All it said was, "Earn $10,000 tonight. Click here." Against my better judgment, I clicked. I didn't even hesitate, not really. I was at rock bottom. My job barely kept the lights on. My landlord was losing patience, and I was one more missed payment away from eviction. The promise of $10,000 in a single night. It was an escape hatch, even if the door looked like a trap. The link led me to a pitch-black webpage. It wasn't just minimalist, it was eerily empty. One line of text glowed white in the void. "Do you accept the challenge?" Underneath were two buttons, yes and no. I froze. Every part of me screamed that this was a scam, but I didn't close the page. My finger hovered over no, but something kept me staring at that promise. $10,000. I wasn't thinking clearly, at least not logically. I clicked yes. The page flickered and a new screen appeared. Enter your email to proceed. I hesitated. This was reckless. Handing over my email could open me up to phishing, scams, or something worse, but desperation made me irrational. My fingers moved on their own as I typed my email and hit enter. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. I opened the email cautiously. "Go to the corner of 5th and Maple at 9 p.m. Retrieve the package from the bench. You will be watched. Fail to follow instructions, and the challenge ends." The message was cold, almost surgical. It gave no context, no room for questions. I glanced at the clock. It was already 8:15. Was I really doing this? I could delete the email, shut my laptop, and pretend it never happened. But that number, $10,000, kept pulling me back. At 8:30, I grabbed my jacket and headed for the car. By 8:55, I was parked a block away from 5th and Maple. The area was quiet. Too quiet. The occasional streetlight buzzed overhead, casting flickering pools of light onto the cracked asphalt. When I approached the bench, my chest tightened. There it was, a small brown box, sealed with thick black tape. It looked like any ordinary package you'd see in the mail, but out here, under this strange setup, it felt wrong. I picked it up, feeling its surprising weight. For a second, I just stood there, staring at it. That's when I heard the voice. "That's yours." The words were soft but close, far too close. I spun around, my heart hammering. There was no one there. The street was empty. I clutched the box tightly and hurried back to my car. My phone buzzed as soon as I started the engine. Another email. "Deliver the package to 724 Elm Street. Leave it on the doorstep. Do not knock. Do not linger. You have 30 minutes. Elm Street was in one of the older neighborhoods, the kind that felt forgotten. Even during the day, it had an eerie stillness to it, but at night it was suffocating. When I arrived, 724 Elm Street looked like it belonged in a ghost story. The windows were boarded up, the lawn was overgrown, and the house sagged as if it carried some terrible weight. I parked across the street and stared at the house. Every instinct told me to leave, but my phone buzzed again. "You're being timed. Deliver the package." I grabbed the box and stepped out. The air felt heavy, as though the night itself were watching me. Each step toward the porch felt wrong, like I was walking into a trap. The wooden steps groaned under my weight as I crouched down and placed the package by the door. That's when I saw it. A figure standing at the edge of the yard, just beyond the reach of the light. They didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, watching. My hands trembled as I placed the package down. Slowly, I backed away, my eyes locked on the shadowy figure. When I reached my car, I slammed the door shut and locked it. My chest heaved as I tried to catch my breath. The figure was gone. When I finally got home, I felt a flicker of relief. But it didn't last long. My phone buzzed again. Task complete. Retrieve your reward. Attached was a link to a secure file-sharing site. I clicked it, feeling a fresh wave of dread. Inside the folder was a single zip file labeled reward.zip. I opened it cautiously, half expecting a virus. Instead, it contained two files, a video and a text document. The video was short, less than a minute long. It showed me earlier that night, standing at 5th and Maple, retrieving the package. But then the camera shifted, zooming in on something behind me. My stomach dropped. A shadowy figure stood just feet away, watching me as I picked up the box. The text file was worse. It read, "Take the USB drive in your mailbox. You have been selected for stage 2. I froze. My mailbox. How could they know where I lived? I grabbed a flashlight and hurried downstairs. Sure enough, when I opened the mailbox, there it was, a plain black USB drive. Back in my apartment, I stared at the USB drive. Every rational thought screamed at me not to plug it in, but curiosity, or maybe desperation, had its claws in me. When I finally inserted the drive into my laptop, the screen flickered. A single folder appeared labeled "Welcome Back." Inside was another video file. This one was longer. It began with the Elm Street drop-off, the package sitting on the porch. The camera panned to the street, zooming in on my car. My heart sank as I realized what was coming. The footage zoomed further, right into my car window. There I was, gripping the steering wheel, my face pale and tense. Then text appeared on the screen, "You are being monitored. Stage 2 begins tomorrow." The next day, paranoia gripped me. I felt like there were eyes on me everywhere I went, at work, at home, even walking to the corner store. I checked my phone obsessively, waiting for the next set of instructions. By evening, another email arrived, "Look outside." I peeked through the blinds and my stomach twisted. Two figures stood on the sidewalk across the street. They were motionless, their faces obscured by shadows. My phone buzzed again. Stage 2 begins now. Don't disappoint us. Stage 2. I couldn't look away from the window. The two figures hadn't moved. They stood there, statues under the dim glow of a streetlight. My phone buzzed again. Prepare to follow instructions. Your reward depends on your compliance. Another email came through immediately after. Retrieve the package under your car. My blood ran cold. Under my car? How long had they been this close? I grabbed a flashlight and hesitated at the front door, my mind racing. What if this was a trap? But as much as I wanted to bolt the door and call it quits, something about the situation had its hooks in me. It wasn't just about the money anymore. I needed to know who was behind this, why they were targeting me, and how they knew everything about me. The air outside was biting, sharp enough to sting my lungs. I crept toward my car, crouching low to shine the flashlight underneath. There it was, a small black bag, zipped shut. Back inside, I unzipped the bag with trembling hands. Inside was another USB drive and a small folded piece of paper. The paper read, "There are 10 photographs on this drive. Study them. You have 1 hour to identify the location of the 6th photo. Respond with the address. If you fail, the challenge ends." I didn't like the word "ends." It didn't sound like failure, it sounded like a threat. I plugged in the USB. A folder opened, labeled "Look Closely." Inside were 10 photographs, all taken in different locations. The first was a grainy shot of a park bench. The second, an alleyway with graffiti-covered walls. Each image seemed mundane at first glance, but as I scrolled through them, unease set in. The 6th photo stopped me cold. It was my apartment building. The angle was low, taken from the sidewalk, as though someone had crouched outside and waited. My hands trembled as I typed the address into the reply email. The response was instant. Correct. Now proceed to the location in photo 8 inches. Photo 8 showed a dilapidated warehouse on the edge of town. It was nearly midnight when I arrived at the warehouse. The structure loomed like a skeleton, its windows shattered, its walls covered in rust and grime. My flashlight barely cut through the darkness as I stepped inside. The air was damp and smelled of mildew. My footsteps echoed ominously on the concrete floor. In the center of the warehouse, a single chair sat under a dangling light bulb. On the chair was a laptop. The screen lit up as I approached, displaying a message. "You are making excellent progress. Sit down and follow the instructions." I hesitated. The place felt wrong, like the walls were watching me. But I was too far in to back out now. I sat down. The laptop beeped, and a video started playing. The video feed was live. It showed a room with bare walls, a metal table, and a single chair. Sitting in that chair was a man, his head covered by a black hood. I leaned closer, my pulse pounding. The man wasn't moving. The feed crackled, and text appeared on the screen. "Decide his fate. Press Y to release him. Press N to terminate him." My stomach lurched. Terminate? Was this some kind of sick joke? The text blinked. "You have 60 seconds to decide." I gripped the edges of the laptop, my mind racing. This couldn't be real, but what if it was? Was someone's life really in my hands? The timer ticked down. 30 seconds. I hovered over Y, praying this was just a twisted bluff. With 2 seconds left, I clicked Y. The screen went black. A new message appeared. "You disappoint us. There will be consequences." Before I could react, the laptop powered off, leaving me in silence. My skin prickled as I realized how quiet the warehouse had become. Then I heard it. Footsteps. I shot out of the chair, my flashlight darting toward the sound. Nothing, just the empty expanse of the warehouse. But the footsteps continued, circling me, growing louder. My phone buzzed. "Leave. Now." I didn't need to be told twice. The drive home felt endless. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. Every pair of headlights in my rearview mirror made my chest tighten. Were they following me? When I finally got back to my apartment, I locked every door and window. I sat on the couch, staring at my phone, waiting for the next set of instructions. At 3 a.m., another email arrived. "You have proven weak. Stage 3 will test your limits." Attached was a video file. With dread pooling in my stomach, I opened it. The footage showed my apartment building. The camera zoomed in on my window where I was sitting. Then the camera panned down to the street. 2 figures stood there staring up at my window. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the corner of my living room with a kitchen knife in hand, waiting for something, anything to happen. By morning, I had convinced myself I was done. I wouldn't respond to any more emails. I'd throw the USB drive away, maybe even move out of town. But at 9 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Final instructions: do not fail us. I threw the phone across the room. My heart raced as I paced back and forth, torn between defiance and fear. Then there was a knock at the door. I froze. The knock came again, louder this time. Slowly, I approached the peephole. A man in a black hoodie stood outside, his face obscured. In his hand was a package. He didn't speak, didn't move, just stood there, waiting. I backed away, my chest tightening. My phone buzzed one last time. Open the door. I never opened the door. Instead, I ran out the back exit and didn't stop until I was halfway across the city. I left everything behind, my apartment, my phone, even my car. For weeks, I slept in cheap motels, constantly looking over my shoulder. But the emails never stopped. No matter how many accounts I deleted, no matter how far I ran, they always found me. And now, as I type this, my phone is buzzing again. You can't escape. Stage 3 begins now. And that's where my story ends. Or maybe where it begins again. Would you have taken the $10,000 challenge or walked away the moment the email arrived? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who love a good dark web mystery. Have your own chilling story? Share it with us. You might just see it in the next video. Thanks for watching, and remember, some doors are better left unopened.